The Galactic Council chamber stretched before them like a cathedral of light and stone, its crystalline walls refracting the glow of 1,000 distant stars. Ambassador Mira Lawson stood at the center of the vast amphitheater, her navy diplomatic robes pristine against the chaos erupting around her. Representatives from 47 worlds filled the curved tiers above, their voices rising in a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and translated fury. At the opposing podium, Emperor Corvan towered like a monument to war itself. His obsidian armor caught the chamber's ethereal light, casting razor-sharp shadows across the polished floor. Bioluminescent runes pulsed along his chest plate in rhythm with his heartbeat, a Zarian physiological display that meant he was ready to kill. The humans speak of peace. Corvan's voice boomed through the chamber's acoustics, each word dripping with contempt. Yet they know nothing of strength. Your species crawled from mud barely 3 centuries ago. You have no right to dictate terms to the Zarian Empire. Myra's expression remained perfectly calm, though her fingers tightened imperceptibly around the data tablet in her hands. Earth's colonial territories hung in the balance. 17 worlds, 42 billion souls, all dependent on this negotiation. The Zarian fleet waited just beyond the system's edge, their fusion torpedoes capable of glassing entire continents. "Emperor," she replied, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber despite its measured tone. "The Galactic Concord was founded on the principle that all species, regardless of age or military might, deserve representation. Earth seeks only to protect its citizens." A ripple of chittering laughter emerged from the Zarian delegation. Corvan's lieutenant, a scarred warrior named Gaxmore, leaned forward with predatory interest. "Protection," Gaxmore hissed. "Your pathetic colonies have encroached on sacred Zarian hunting grounds. The blood debt must be paid." "The colonies were established under Concord law," Mira countered, activating her tablet. Holographic star charts materialized between them, showing the disputed territories. Article 7 clearly states, "Enough." Corvan's fist slammed into his podium, shattering the crystalline surface. "The Zarian Empire does not bow to paper and ink. We are warriors, not merchants. If Earth wants these worlds, they will be taken by force." The chamber fell silent. Even the automated translation systems seemed to pause, as if the AI's processing units couldn't quite believe what they'd heard. Mira felt the weight of every gaze in the amphitheater, from the insectoid Kethari delegates to the gaseous Vorthak representatives floating in their containment suits. Council Mediator Vex 9, a synthetic being whose chrome features never betrayed emotion, finally spoke. "Emperor Corvan, are you formally withdrawing from these negotiations?" "I am declaring them meaningless," Corvan replied, his armor's runes flaring brighter. "The Zarian fleet will commence orbital bombardment of human colonies in 72 standard hours. Let the galaxy witness what happens to those who mistake our patience for weakness." Mira closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the familiar weight of decision settling on her shoulders. She thought of the children on New Geneva, the farmers on Kepler 442b, the researchers on Proxima Station, all counting on her to find a path forward. When she opened her eyes, they held a different kind of steel. "Actually," she said, her voice cutting through the chamber's stunned silence, "there is another option." Corvan's head tilted slightly, the first sign of curiosity she'd seen from him. According to Galactic Charter Article 847, Section 12, Subsection C, Mira continued, consulting her tablet, "Any dispute between member species may be resolved through trial by combat, if both parties agree to accept the outcome as binding." The chamber erupted. Delegates leaped to their feet, shouting in languages the translation systems couldn't keep up with. Even Vex 9's chrome features shifted into something approaching surprise. "That law hasn't been invoked in over 2,000 years, the mediator said. "But it remains valid," Mira replied. "I invoke trial by combat on behalf of Earth and all its territories." Corvan's laughter was like thunder. "You? A soft-skinned diplomat who has never drawn blood? You would face me in combat. I would. The Emperor's amusement faded as he studied her face. Whatever he saw there gave him pause. Very well, he said finally. I accept, but know this, human. When I tear your heart from your chest, your species will understand the price of defiance. And when I defeat you, Mira replied, her voice steady as granite, the Zarian Empire will withdraw from human space and acknowledge Earth's sovereignty over the disputed territories. The chamber had gone dead silent. Even the ambient hum of the station's life support systems seemed muted. Gaxmore leaned close to his emperor. My lord, surely you don't mean to dirty your claws with this creature's blood. Allow me to— No. Corvan's voice brooked no argument. The human wishes to die by my hand. I will grant her that honor. Mira nodded once, then began walking toward the chamber's exit. The crowd parted before her like water, their eyes wide with disbelief. She paused at the threshold and looked back. The trial will take place in 1 hour, as per Zarian custom, she said. I suggest you prepare yourself, Emperor. As she disappeared through the doorway, the chamber exploded into chaos once more. But those closest to where she'd stood would later swear they'd seen her smile. The combat arena was a testament to Zarian brutality, a circular pit carved from black volcanic rock, surrounded by energy barriers that would contain the violence within. Above, viewing platforms held the galaxy's most powerful beings, all drawn by the spectacle of a human diplomat challenging the most feared warrior in known space. Mira stood at the arena's edge, no longer wearing her diplomatic robes. Instead, she was clad in form-fitting tactical gear that seemed to absorb the harsh arena lights. Carbon fiber plates protected her vital areas, while her hands were wrapped in grip-enhancing gloves. To the watching crowds, she looked impossibly small. Across the pit, Corvan descended the steps like a force of nature. His ceremonial combat armor was a work of art. Obsidian plates inscribed with the names of his victories, each rune glowing with inner fire. He carried a massive warglaive that hummed with energy, its blade capable of cutting through starship hulls. Citizens of the galaxy, the arena's announcer boomed, witnessed the first trial by combat in 2 millennia. The human Mira Lawson challenges Emperor Corvan for the fate of Earth's colonies. Mira stepped into the pit, her boots crunching on the dark sand. The arena's silence was absolute. Tens of thousands of beings holding their collective breath. Last chance to surrender, human, Corvan called out as he entered the opposite side. I offer you a warrior's death instead of slow torture. I appreciate the offer, Mira replied, her voice carrying clearly in the artificial atmosphere. But I have a better idea. When I win, you'll order your fleet to withdraw and sign a non-aggression pact. When the Zarian Empire's word is given, it's binding, isn't it? Corvan's laughter echoed off the arena walls. Bold words for someone about to die. The energy barriers flared to life with a sharp hum. There was no going back now. Corvan moved first, crossing the arena in 3 massive strides, his glaive sweeping toward Myra's head with enough force to decapitate a tree. She dropped low, rolling beneath the blade and coming up behind him. Her fist lashed out, striking the joint in his armor where his thigh met his hip, a pressure point that would have dropped most humanoids. The Emperor barely flinched. His backhand caught her across the chest, sending her skidding across the sand. She rolled with the impact, using the momentum to spring back to her feet, but she could feel the bruises already forming. You're quicker than I expected, Corvan admitted, adjusting his grip on the glaive. But speed won't save you. He attacked again, this time with methodical precision. The glaive became a blur of lethal motion, each strike designed to corner her, to limit her options. Mira gave ground, weaving between the attacks, using her smaller size to stay inside his reach where the massive weapon was less effective. Think, Mira asterisk, she told herself, dodging another devastating swing. Asterisk, he's stronger, better armed, and has natural armor. But he's also predictable. Asterisk. She feinted left, then dove right, her fingers finding the activation stud on her belt. The small device she concealed there, a standard diplomatic emergency beacon, began emitting a high-frequency pulse. To most species, it was inaudible, but Zarian hearing extended well into the ultrasonic range. Corvan stumbled, his next attack going wide as the sound disrupted his inner ear. Mira seized the opening, launching herself at his weapon arm. Her weight wasn't enough to knock him down, but she managed to wrap her arms around his wrist, using her body as a lever to force the glaive toward the ground. "Clever," he growled, then drove his free fist toward her head. She released her grip and rolled away, but not before her fingers found the weapon's power coupling. The glaive's energy field flickered and died, leaving him with 6 feet of very sharp but non-powered metal. The crowd was on its feet now, their cheers and screams creating a wall of sound that threatened to drown out rational thought. Mira pressed her advantage, staying close, targeting the gaps in his armor with precision strikes. Her training from her special forces days came flooding back. Not the flashy moves of entertainment combat, but the efficient, lethal techniques designed to take down larger opponents. But Corvan was no ordinary opponent. He adapted quickly, abandoning the unwieldy glaive for close-quarters combat. His claws were as dangerous as any weapon, and his reach advantage was overwhelming. A swipe caught her across the shoulder, tearing through her armor and drawing blood. Another caught her thigh, sending her to one knee. The Emperor loomed over her, victory within his grasp. "You fought well, human," he said, raising his claws for the killing blow. "I will remember your courage when I conquer your worlds." Mira looked up at him, blood trickling down her face, and smiled. "I'm not fighting for my worlds," she said quietly. "I'm fighting for yours." The confusion in his eyes was answer enough. Myra's hand shot out, pressing against a specific point on his chest plate where the armor was thinnest. The small shaped charge she'd palm-activated detonated, not with enough force to seriously injure him, but enough to crack the ancient ceramics. "You see," she continued, rolling away as he staggered, "I studied your species before these negotiations. Your armor isn't just protection, it's a symbol. The runes carved into it represent your victories, your honor, your right to rule. If it's damaged in combat..." Corvan's eyes widened in understanding. According to Zarian law, a warrior whose ceremonial armor was broken in single combat was deemed to have lost the favor of their war gods. The Emperor would be stripped of his titles, his fleet would fragment, and his empire would tear itself apart in civil war. "You've been planning this," he breathed. "From the moment you threatened human colonies," Mira confirmed. "I could have killed you with that charge, but I didn't. Because this was never about victory through death. It was about showing your people that there's another way." The arena had gone silent. Even the crowd seemed to sense that something fundamental had shifted. Corvan knelt slowly, his massive frame folding with surprising grace. "I yield," he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the arena. "The trial is ended. The human has proven her worth." Mira approached him carefully, her own body screaming with pain. "Your empire doesn't have to fragment," she said quietly. "Your armor can be repaired. Your honor can be restored, but only if you choose to be more than just a warrior." The Emperor's eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw something other than rage in them. "Perhaps," he said finally, "it is time for the Zarian Empire to learn new ways of honor." Above them, the galaxy watched as 2 species took their first step toward a different kind of future, one built not on conquest, but on respect earned through courage and wisdom. In the diplomatic quarters of the Council Station, the treaty was signed 3 hours later. Earth's colonies would remain safe, the Zarian fleet would withdraw, and for the first time in centuries, the Empire would send diplomatic envoys instead of battle fleets to resolve its disputes. Mira Lawson, bandaged but unbowed, signed her name with a steady hand. Across the table, Emperor Corvan, his armor bearing honorable scars, did the same. The galaxy would never be quite the same again.